Okay, so welcome back. So in this video, we're going to talk about the multiplicative identity. Okay, so remember in addition of numbers, right, of integers, signed numbers, we talked about the additive identity 0, right? So the additive identity means, hey, if you add 0 to any number, you just get that number, right? And so also if you take the additive inverse, right? A number and its additive inverse, and you add them together, you get the additive identity, right? So there was this unique number 0, right, that these properties held. So now there's also a number, the multiplicative identity, that does something similar. That's going to be 1, right? So 1 is what we call the multiplicative identity because you can multiply any number by 1 and it will leave that number unchanged. You'll get that number out, okay? So you can take any number A, multiply it by 1, and you get A. So that's why we call 1 the multiplicative identity, okay? So let's do some examples. So let's do okay, so let's do this one here. So this will be A, right? So in this case here, and again, it doesn't matter which ones you multiply together, but let's go ahead and do this one here. So we get 4 times negative 2, okay? And so again, if we do 4 times negative 2, well, what do we get? We get 2 times 4 is 8, and since they have opposite signs, it's going to be a negative 8. And then we get negative 8 times 6, right? Again, this is a binary operation. So you can also only multiply 2 numbers at a time. So now we do the same thing. So we do 6 times 8 is 48, right? But since they have opposite signs, it's going to be negative 48. Okay? Now let's do B. Well, what's B? So B gives us this. Negative 3 times 4 times negative 5. Okay? So now, how can we do this one? Again, we could use all kinds of different things, but let's just multiply it left to right. Okay? So we do these two, right? So 3 times 4 is 12, but since they have opposite signs, it has to be negative. So it's going to be negative 12. Okay? And then we do negative 4 times negative 5. And now we got 12 times 5, which is 60, but since they have the same sign, negative times a negative is positive. So we're going to have 60. So we get a positive 60. Okay, now what about this one? Here we got negative 2 times negative 8 times negative 3. Okay, so again, we're going to do left to right. So we got negative 2 times negative 8. So that's 2 times 8 is 16. And since they both the same sign, it's going to be positive. So it's going to be 16. And now we get what? Times a negative 3. And so we get 16 times a negative 3. So 16 times 3 is what? 48. But since they're opposite signs, it's going to be negative 48. And then finally, the last one they give us is this one. We get okay, we got this one. Okay? So again, let's do this pairwise. So we get negative 2 times negative 3. Well, that's going to be what? 6, and it's going to be positive. And then we got -4 times -1. And then we're going to do the 6 times 4 is 24, and since they have opposite signs, it's going to be negative, so we get -24 times -1. Now here, what's 1 times 24? It's just 24. And since they have the same sign, it's going to be positive, so we get positive 24. So notice something here. We have an odd number of negatives here. And we got a negative. Here we got an even number of negatives. And we got a positive. Here we got an odd number of negatives. We got a negative. And here we got an even number of negatives. And we got positive. Think about that.